Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We are on Love 99.5 FM. Affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on A1 Radio in Bolgatanga, Fafa Radio in Jojelonlo, New FM in Hohoe. We are live on X Spaces. We are on Facebook. We are live on myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDP pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator, and where Duraplus goes, water always flows. This afternoon, Chief State Attorney Samuel Nekwe Tete debarred over unexplained 400,000 cedis transfer into his wife's account from Alfred Agbeshiwoyome. We have details of the General Legal Counsel orders him not to hold himself out as a lawyer. Also this afternoon,
when it says to a general election, what do you want to achieve? I don't know. I don't believe there can be any massive change in the direction of the government.
Former Chief of Staff Kwadwo Mpieni questions the timing and the relevance of the ministerial reshuffle undertaken by President Akufo-Addo. But this afternoon, we are learning about the motivation behind the decision to shake up the government.
Many complaints that we have had as a party has been the concern that when people bring their issue to some ministers, when they want to see some ministers, they are unable to see them, they are unable to address their issues.
We'll tell you why the roads minister was moved and also take a look at the tenure of former finance minister Ken Ofori Attas, who got the sack yesterday, a 7-year tenure of E-Levy, IMF and Kinky parties.
I recommend him very strongly to the Parliament for approval as the next finance minister of Ghana. That is Mr. Ken Ofori Attas.
We are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not.
We are by this medium communicating our strong desire that the President change the Minister of Finance.
We're live in Parliament where the Bodi MP is raising constitutional issues with a reshuffle. Also, high cost of import duty frustrates the Ghana Health Service from clearing locked up HIV antiretroviral drugs as the service warns of an impending pandemic if government does not step in.
This is life-saving. If we actually lift our foot off the pedal, what will happen is we're building a reservoir of HIV drug resistance strains. That will be more difficult to treat. So we don't want a second epidemic.
Also, pressure mounts on Kolebu Teaching Hospital's renal dialysis unit as funding shortfall impairs service delivery.
People are concerned about their relatives who are sick. I understand that people are concerned that if a relative doesn't get treatment, he or she may die. I understand all that. But the other truth of the matter is that if we don't pay realistic prices, the unit collapses and nobody gets treatment.
The sports.
Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre calls for government interference in football despite the risk of FIFA ban.
And this year's Valentine's Day celebration will be etched in history as the moment Joy FM's listener Newman Nyamiche Aklamenu got the opportunity to pop the question to the love of his life, Janet Odedanso, at the Labadi Beach Hotel.
Found a love. Will you marry me?
Surprise!
That's and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Please do stay on for details. Many thanks for your company. And Chief State Attorney at the Office of the Attorney General, Samuel Nekwe Tete, has been disbarred as a lawyer by the General Legal Counsel for collecting 400,000 cedis from businessman Alfred Agbeshiwoyome in 2011. Mr. Nekwe Tete in 2012 was arrested by the police during investigations into the payment of 51.2 million cedi judgment debt to Mr. Woyome. A statement from the General Legal Counsel debarred him, meaning he could never practice as a lawyer again in Ghana. Legal Affairs correspondent Richard Kujunyaku joins me in studio with more of what we are learning. First, let's look at the statement from the General Legal Counsel.
Well, so the statement from the General Legal Counsel indicate that on the 23rd of November 2023, an order was made by the General Legal Counsel for Samuel Nekwe Tete's name to be struck off the roll of lawyers in Ghana. So he was charged by the GLC and convicted on one count of the legal profession, professional conduct and etiquette rules. So count 1 indicates that he, as a lawyer and a chief state attorney, having acted as counsel for the state in the case of Alfred Agwesi-Woyome versus the Attorney General and another, has an amount of 400,000 Ghana cedi transferred directly from Mr. Alfred Agwesi-Woyome into the bank account of his wife, Mrs. Gifty Nekwe Tete, on 16 June 2011 without any reasonable explanation, a conduct or act that adversely affect the dignity and high standing of the legal profession.
Now let's go about the background to this particular development.
Well, so we know that Mr. Samuel Nekwe Tete in 2011 was a chief state attorney when businessman Alfred Agwesi-Woyome was being prosecuted over the payment of 51.2 million judgment debt. You remember the payment of this judgment debt generated a public uproar, and he was said to have been involved in the negotiations which led to the first settlement of more than 41 million Ghana cedis. So the report by Yoko stated that Mr. Nekwe Tete concluded that the government did not have a defense and therefore did not file one.
Okay, but you've been you've been trying to reach Mr. Nekwe Tete himself and Mr. Woyome. What has been the response so far?
Well, so I've been unsuccessful with that. I've been placing calls, but I've not gotten any response. But these were the orders from the General Legal Counsel that he should not hold himself out as a lawyer or attend chambers or render or purport to render any professional legal advice to the public. Second, his practicing license has been withdrawn forthwith.
Okay. That's head of our legal affairs desk here, Richard Kojunyako, there providing updates on this, and as and when we get more, we'll bring that to you. And there's more of that story also on myjoyonline.com. And another reason why you can't miss the law this Sunday, will give you details of everything that you need to know when it comes to this particular issue. It's at 2 p.m. on the Joy News channel with Samson Ladi Anyenene. Now, the timing and relevance of President Akufo-Addo's latest ministerial reshuffle that saw 19 ministers removed continue to attract attention. Stalwart of the party, Kwadwo Mpieni, who also served as chief of staff to former President Kufuor, is unconvinced about the timing. He tells Evans Benz from PM Express that the new appointees will have no influence due to the limited time available before the next election.
Is it the right time to have this reshuffle? That's my only concern. Otherwise, it is the president's prerogative. He decides what he wants to do with his government. If he believes the changes will help him to achieve his aims, fine. You should go ahead and do that. But I am thinking 8 months to an election without have any effect on the direction of government, I don't know. Maybe the president knows.
Hello, Mr. Mpieni.
Yes.
Well, what is wrong with the timing? You said that is the problem. What is wrong with it?
You see, you have 8 months to an election. Some of these are new, completely new. Maybe you get them in place by the end of the month or the middle of next month. How are they going to be able to learn know what is within the ministry to enable them maybe direct the ministry in a way maybe the president wants them to do now? That's the timing I'm talking about. When it's 8 months to a general election, what do you want to achieve? I don't know. I think it's too close to the election, and I don't believe there will be. I don't believe there can be any massive change in the direction of the government.
That's former Chief of Staff Kwadwo Mpieni there speaking on PM Express with Evans Mensah. We'll get to hear from Minister Designate, that's Information Minister Designate Fatimah Abdulai on the same show. But we are getting to know the reasons behind the President's reshuffle. Joining us is learning the unfriendly posture of some of the ministers was a major factor. General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kyafo, says the conduct of some of the former ministers was impacting negatively on the party.
Politics is about human management. It's about your relations, your relationship with those that you work with key stakeholders. Many complaints that we have had as a party has been the concern that when people bring their issue to some ministers, when they want to see some ministers, they are unable to see them, they are unable to address their issues. So if they are getting new faces who open their doors to listen to concerns of various stakeholders and can take steps to address those concerns for them, it goes way to positively affect the chances and fortunes of our party. If you are a road contractor, if you're a businessman, and your work has halted because you have not received your needed funds to proceed, and you have a new roads minister who can facilitate for you to get your mobilization or to get your funds to go back to site to work, won't you be happy? And that one will have to take 10 months before you see results. 10 months. You'll be making a mistake. Let's understand that their roles are different, their ministries are different, and their expectations are also different. In any case, the Constitution gives power to the president to make appointment as and when he deems fit until January 7, 2025. And the president is doing so based on how he perceives the economy, based on the new ideas that he wants to see in the economy.
Well, that's the General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kyafo. We can now hear from Information Minister Designates Fatimah Abdulai. She says she's ready to work despite the limited time.
At the pleasure of the presidents that we've served in successive governments, it can be 2 days to elections. We've had times where appointments have been made even after the person's tenure and before handover. So if at any point in time the president deems it necessary to make such appointments or even change people per the Constitution stipulates, he doesn't even need to give reasons why certain people are removed or some changes are made. But in our peculiar situation at the Ministry of Information, let me remind you that Honorable Sly Tete or Sylvester, as you will call him, he has been the Vice Chair of the Communications Committee in Parliament whilst I was serving as Deputy Minister. And we've collaborated with the committee so well.
But when will these minister designates be vetted, knowing that changes have been made to the standing orders of Parliament, which affects the various committees and its membership? We can hear from the chairman of the Appointments Committee, Jose Owusu.
If you take any ministry, for example, if you take local government is a new nominee. Now, the chairman of the Committee of Local Governance, his deputy, the ranking member and his deputy will join the Appointments Committee when it comes to the vetting of the minister. When we finish with the local governance, those people will leave. And maybe if we come to gender, the Minister for Gender's Consideration, then the Committee on Gender, the chairman and ranking, the deputy chairman and vice chairman and deputy ranking will join in.
Well, Ken Ofori Attas was a polarizing figure in Ghana's politics, and the former finance minister divided opinion in his own party with his 7-year tenure rocked with a considerable amount of controversies. The former banker and co-founder of Data Bank was at the helm of affairs in the finance ministry for nearly a decade, the longest of any finance minister. Having been sacked, my colleague Kwadwo Asante takes a look back at some key moments in his tenure.
I believe he's exactly the right man to lead our country's economic revival. That is Mr. Ken Ofori Attas.
The soft-spoken Bible quoter and all-white wearing Ken Ofori Attas assumed the reins as finance minister in 2017. Just months into his tenure, he was rocked with conflict of interest allegations and the issuance of government bonds. Ken Ofori Attas had a rocky but relatively stable first term. Much of his troubles began when he was reappointed in 2021. Ken Ofori Attas fell ill. His situation was so worse that the 2021 budget was read by Majority Leader Osei Chairman Sabonsu. The economy takes a nosedive with skyrocketing inflation, high interest rate, and general economic hardship.
That the current state of our debt has a lot to do with the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Russian-Ukraine war.
Despite excruciating economic challenges, Ken Ofori Attas, with the backing of the president, splashed public funds on lofty plans of constructing a national cathedral. When the economic situation does not improve, Ken has to think outside the box. What does he do? He abolishes road tolls and introduces the unpopular and controversial e-levy, which many have said was the beginning of his end. He declared then that the country was never going to return to the International Monetary Fund.
We are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not.
Ghana now swallows its pride and applies to the IMF for a bailout. Ken Ofori Attas remains in office. Now MPs from his own party, close to 100 of them, have had enough and in an unprecedented move, demanded his dismissal.
We are by this medium communicating our strong desire that the President change the Minister of Finance.
The opposition in Parliament then files a motion to censure him. Ken Ofori Attas miraculously survives all these attempts to remove him. To raise more revenue, Ken Ofori Attas introduces a debt exchange program, a program so unpopular it drove a former Chief Justice to the streets in protest.
It's rude, it's wicked, it's unlawful.
But after 7 years, Ken Ofori Attas' cup becomes full. His cousin, the president, succumbs to pressure and sacks him.
Well, let's head to Parliament because NDC MP for Bodi Samson, and he says the president's latest reshuffle may be unconstitutional as it does not include any person from the Western North region. The only person in government who hailed from the Western North was Minister for Environment, Dr. Afriyie, but was sacked in yesterday's reshuffle. Correspondent Kwadwo Asante joins us on the line with more. So, Kwadwo, does Samson and he say what he would do if the president does not heed to his demand?
Well, Emefa, something that he wants to give the president a chance to rectify what he considers a constitutional aberration. He believes it's important that the Western North must be represented at the highest level of the executive.
For you to announce cabinet, ministers and their deputies, and as it stands now, we don't have anybody to represent us from the Western North region on the cabinet level, and also deputy ministers. But the Constitution enjoins the President to consider regional balance when composing his cabinet. And so we are not happy. The chiefs and elders, the people of the West.
There's other concerns. They are not enthused about the continuous absence of NPP MPs from the House. Why?
Yes, at the start of sitting today, there were just about 15 NPP MPs on the floor. And to make matters worse for the minority leadership, the Transport Minister, who was also expected to answer about 15 questions, was also absent. According to Kwame Gavin Sabuja, who is the minority chief whip, if the NPP MPs and their ministers are tired, they should simply resign.
As we speak, the majority side, led today by the deputy majority leader, Honorable Fatimah, a 17-member majority. Only 17. If we add you before, it will be 18. The question is, the ministers won't come. The members won't come. What is happening? If they don't want to be in government again, I said the other day, they can all resign. They can resign. There's nothing in the Constitution which says that you must necessarily be there for 4 years. It's up to 4 years. They can resign today. Because we can't have, look at that.
And there was a response from the majority?
Yes, the majority leadership, Gavin Afenyomakin, I should say, responded by saying that the NDC should also look internally because they've elected a flag bearer who has not even appointed a running mate yet.
Honorable Abuja makes a political statement that if this government is not ready, she should resign. That's a good political statement. But you don't have the full complement of your leadership. You elected your flag bearer several months ago. He's not been able to announce the running mate. If you are giving government, you do have a...
Well, Kwadwo, update us. What else is happening in Parliament today?
Well, MPs are delivering statements on the extinction of Ghanaian languages. MPs are furious that there are so many schools across the country that are beating students for speaking quote-unquote vernacular. Some judge has been talking about his constituency where at the time he assumed office there were just 2 teachers who used to teach the Gadangwe language. And these are concerns that MPs want the Education Ministry and Ghana Education Service to take pretty seriously.
That's a parliamentary affairs correspondent, Kwadwo Asante, taking us out of Parliament. Now, the Ghana Health Service is warning of a looming danger if government fails to step in to address difficulties the service is facing in clearing HIV antiretroviral drugs at the Tema port. Out of the 355,000 Ghanaians affected by HIV, less than half are on treatment, but delays in providing them timely drugs are affecting their health and well-being. Programs manager for the National AIDS and Sexually Transmitted Diseases at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Stephen Aisi Ado, tells my colleague Elton Broby on the Pulse on the Joy News channel that the Ghana Revenue Authority is insisting on cash and carry before they can clear the drugs.
Because if a clearing agent has a challenge with pre-financing to clear, because we only pay, the global fund will only pay if it's cleared. We cannot pay ahead of time, yeah. For increases in also the charges at the port.
Yeah, of course.
And for every planning, forecasting, there's a proportion of the commodity that goes into clearing charges. But there's been a significant escalation on the pricing for clearing, the amount for clearing. So what is even allocated in our budget is lower than what is required now.
For the clearing.
And
you don't have any waiver from the Ministry of Finance?
So that is a discussion now.
Health?
We are supposed to get a waiver through the Ministry of Finance from Parliament to waive. But despite all the waivers, there are some taxes.
So
that AU tax, ECOWAS tax, and we hear that it's above the Parliament. And so the discussion now is how do we go send another legislation to make that possible so that we'll have a blanket waiver for all the commodities.
Well, there's another challenge. Those who are on antiretroviral medication, stigma is a major barrier.
Antiretroviral therapy has really been of great help, has sustained many persons living with HIV over the years. However, the greatest challenge to people remaining on treatment is stigma. And we realize that the first reaction to getting a positive diagnosis was, how can I live with it? What will people say? How will they react to me? We internalizing all the negative things about persons living with HIV that we've heard. And then
Well, in a related development, the renal dialysis unit at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital is once again under pressure as the unit is unable to raise money to purchase consumables for service delivery. The unit was forced to shut down last year, sparking public outcry as dialysis patients face an uncertain end to their lives. According to the head of the unit, Professor Vincent Boyman, with every dialysis session, the unit loses 380 Ghana cedis, which is accumulating as debt. Professor Boyman says the situation is now affecting service delivery and may lead to another shutdown.
Currently, you already know that the government has asked us to be charging 380 Ghana cedis each session, and each time you dialyze one person at 380, you lose another 380 because the actual cost is more than twice what the patients are paying now. So we are actually incurring costs which is not being paid for, which is half of what they are currently paying for, and this is going to impact on how we get our consumables to continue dialyzing them, and the service we provide in general in the unit is really going to impact on it because we may not have enough funds to provide a needed service at the standard that is.
Well, at the renal dialysis unit of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, patients there are calling on the government to subsidize dialysis services to ease the burden on them.
It has been so difficult. Life has been so difficult. The cost involved and all other things, put it together, it's not easy at all. It's not easy. Yes, so we are pleading on the government to do something about it. We heard some time ago that the government wants to infuse it with the health insurance. Yes, we are waiting on the government. It shouldn't be mere rhetorics. It should be implemented.
Renal dialysis patients, they're taking us on a quick break here on the Midday News, live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. It's made possible by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Duraplus Ghana Limited, where Duraplus goes, water always flows. We've been talking about the debarment of Chief State Attorney Samuel Nekwe Tete over unexplained 400,000 cedis transfer into his wife's account from Alfred Agbeshi Woyome. We'll return from the break with sport, and then this year's Valentine's Day celebration will be etched in history as the moment Joy FM's listener Newman Yameche Aklameno got the opportunity to pop the big question of love to his love of his life.
Found a love. Will you marry me?
Surprise!
Follow my lead.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a Petrosol station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
Dive
into a new era of news consumption with myjoyonline.com, your go-to destination for cutting-edge journalism, giving you the most credible stories from business to politics and from sports to entertainment. Myjoyonline.com introduces an upgraded news website meticulously designed to empower you with an enriched browsing experience like never before. Experience the future of news browsing with myjoyonline.com.
The race to the Jubilee House is beginning. Ghana is at a crossroads. It is time again for the people to choose, and the world is watching. So join Joy News as we launch our comprehensive coverage of the 2024 elections and the wide array of election programs carefully designed to empower you and an informed electorate. We will do this because in a nation where every vote counts, where every voice matters, there is one name you can trust for your election coverage. Joy News, your elections headquarters. From now till January 7, 2025, our seasoned journalists will bring you up-to-the-minute updates, unbiased analysis, and the stories behind the headlines. Your election headquarters brings you the launch of Joy News 2024 election coverage. It's on Monday, February 19 from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. live on the Joy FM Super Morning Show, the AM show on the Joy News channel, and all our social media platforms. The election headquarters, an informed electorate. Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Thanks for staying with us. Let's do sports.
Thank you very much, Emefa. And then the Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre has urged the government to interfere in the running of football, even if it leads to a ban from FIFA. Now, countries such as Nigeria and Zimbabwe have faced sanctions from the World Football Governing Body due to government interference. However, the Member of Parliament welcomes the possibility of a ban if it will aid in reforming the sport.
We must be humble enough to accept that there's something wrong with the running of our senior national team, the Black Stars. There is something definitely wrong with that. Now, and I hear all the statements about reform and reform. I hear my colleague, the Honorable Suhini, being very loud, very clear. It cannot just be any reform at all. Yes, I agree there should be some reform. But we must be specific on what we want to do. Speaker, I dare say that even if we have to interfere to attract the sanction of FIFA. We've heard about that. If we interfere in football administration, FIFA is going to sanction us. And what? If that is what we should come to, if push comes to shove, we must do it to safeguard the sports. It is all we have.
Emefa, before I go, the latest FIFA World Rankings is out. The Black Stars now occupy the 67th position globally and 14th in Africa. And they've been overtaken by the likes of Cape Verde and South Africa. Can you imagine?
Look. Mubarak, thank you. Wow. Now, on February's most iconic day at the Labadi Beach Hotel, love cast its spell. Two loyal listeners of Joy FM expressed their affection to one another with expenses met, dinner spread wide, their hearts intertwined in love's sweet tide. But let my words not steal the show. My colleague Jacqueline and Sunayabwa walks us through the magic of what happened at the proposal on Joy Night.
Found a love
at the enchanting Labadi Beach Hotel in Accra, where love whispers mingle with the waves, a captivating love story took center stage. Someone has courage to propose to his beloved Janet Odei Danso.
That I can start again and get it right this time. With this reason, in the multitude of the people, I want to ask you, will you marry me?
With heart fluttering and smiles as radiant as the sun, the delighted couple could hardly contain their joy.
It's been a wonderful day, a day I will never forget.
I'm so happy. I don't know, and I'm surprised. You can still see that.
The air is thick with anticipation as the wedding bells may soon chime. Newman graciously shares his plans for the big day.
We are thinking about October and December.
Wow. Either her birthday is December, and my birthday is October. So we decide one of them.
Well, the day after, the bride-to-be is still basking in the light of yesterday's evening.
Morning after my big proposal, I'm happy. It's like a dream come true.
For Joy News, I am Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
And Jacqueline is the J in the M and J, and she's in the studios. Did you find love yesterday?
You know, at this point, I wish Maxwell was here.
I'm asking you whether you found love.
Well, I nearly did. But maybe this year is not. Yes, this year is not my time. So hopefully next year we come again next year.
Well, somebody is satisfying their soul today.
Yeah. So well, Emefa, on social media, a couple of stuff that are trending. We have Save Ghana Football still trending. People are talking about it. Obviously, I don't know why Valentine's Day is still trending because people are still in the Valentine cruise. But then we have the former interior minister trending, Ambrose Derry. So there's this video circulating of him jamming to a song by Bob Marley. And, you know, people are talking about it. People are asking questions. Is he happy that he's been relieved, or I don't know. Ever, what do you think?
He's ready to become Minister of State, so maybe it's just the pressure of him. Satisfy my soul. Well, Jackie, thank you so much. And that's how we end today's edition of the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu, living where the Pastor Mental is up next. Have a good afternoon.